Hello everyone, so I'm at Ness Gardens on the Wirral in the northwest of England today. Gonna make a video about the amazing collection of bamboos they've got here in the garden. I did a video a couple of months ago, and since doing that video I've got some I've got a lot more information that I felt put me in a position where I could make a more informative video. So I've took the old one off YouTube now, and this will replace it. So what we're looking at is a collection of bamboos called the KR collection. They are mostly Borindas, and they were collected mid-90s, I believe, by a guy called Keith Rushforth. The history behind the collection I will include in the description. So some of the information I got was, the first thing I got was an article written in 2012 by Mike Bell for the Bamboo Society. Mike Bell is well known in bamboo circles. He is an avid collector of bamboos and holds the National Collection of Phyllostaches. So I've got Mike's permission to quote directly from that article, although when I spoke to him in October and this morning on the way while I was driving over here, he's mentioned a couple of times that information in those articles is probably out of date because things change so quickly in the bamboo world. I'll also include Mike's description of what a Borinda actually is, and how the name Borinda came about, which was splitting plants out of the genus Fargesia back in the day. And also include a link to Chris Stapleton's bamboo identification website, which is a mine of information, some really good info on there. Right, naming of the plants. So a lot of the plants have got labels and some haven't, but only last night I got a handwritten plan of the area called the Spinney, where most of the plants are. I'm not there at the moment. I'm in the Pinewood area where there's a couple of very special plants, and we'll have a look at those in a minute. Regarding the naming, so if a label exists, it has a name. A lot of these plants, Macloriana, grocers used a fair bit. I think it's just applied to anything that was big, and Papyrifera applied to anything with a good degree of blue, I reckon. So some of the naming is inaccurate, and I do know there is some ID work needed. Now, only yesterday some random emails resulted in what I hope is like the right people being involved, and I may have instigated some ID work. I hope so, because little old me, enthusiastic gardener from Manchester, an avid collector of bamboos, being involved in something like that, even if just creating this chain of emails kicks something off in the future, that'll make my day, that. Anyway, please read the description, because I'm going to put a heap of information in there, and it will give you all the background as to how the collection was instigated, what a Borinda is, and a whole load more info. So yeah, so Borinda's just worth mentioning. They are very desirable plants. They've got qualities that are very appealing. So the fact that the clump forming is a big one for a lot of people, although if you see the size of some of these clumps, they would fill a small garden, trust me, they are huge. And also the comb colour, you know, there's some nice bluey greys and really good, like, intense blues on some of the new culms on some of these plants, like the one in front of me, which we'll look at in a minute. But they are usually quite tricky to find, and when they are offered for sale, they do command quite a hefty price tag in some cases. So yeah, less of me waffling on. Please read the description, and yeah, let's take a look at the plants. So I'm in the Pinewood area at the moment, and there's a couple of Borindas here. This one, I know this one well, Borinda frigidorum. Have a look at the label, KR4059. So I've been growing this for over 10 years now, and I've got quite a nice clump of this in my garden. This one looks like it needs thinning out a bit with some old culms there. I really like this. When I bought it originally, it was I got it from Whiteley, and they did say in the description that it could defoliate in a harsh winter. I've not had that happen, and I do know the description for the plant at Whiteley does mention me, because it says something like there's one growing in Manchester for X amount of time and it's been absolutely fine. There is a nice blue kind of colour, not to the extent of some of these, but on the fresh culms every year I see there's a little hint of blue there, which is quite nice. And you know, quite thin culms, fine foliage, looks fantastic. So this next plant, KR 3869, absolutely fantastic plant. There we go, there's the label. So it does carry the name Papyrifera, and I believe that is correct for this plant. Yeah, it's similar in some ways to Borinda Papyrifera CS1046, but is known to be hardier, because I know CS1046 can struggle a little bit in a harsh winter like we had last year. I've not got any of this in my garden, but that will change early next year. I'll walk right round it. It's quite stunning, it's big. I visited Simon Alpin's garden earlier this year, and he has this plant and it looks quite stunning. I think where it differs from CS1046 is the colour on the culm sheaths. From what I saw at Simon's garden, it's a lot darker. My experience though, I think CS1046 does get a thicker culm. Not sure though, I don't think there's much in it actually. That is quite stunning. So I'm in the area now that is known as the Spinney, and I'm at the southern end, just walking up through the amazing collection of bamboos here. It's quite stunning to see them planted together like this. You know, I've visited a lot of gardens over the years which are known for having outstanding bamboo collections, but to me this is one of the best. Really, really good. Coming to the start of the Spinney now, and as I'm walking up on the left hand side there's some other plants, some other bamboos, and only yesterday I found out how they got there. More on that later in the video. When you look at plants like that, this is a clump forming bamboo, huge. So we're at the north end of the Spinney now. There's a Chusquea coolio down there, which I believe flowered some years ago, if it is the right plant I was told about. The first huge bamboo you come across is KR 6322. It's like 3 separate clumps of it growing quite close together. The weather's incredible today. Last time I came to try and do this video, I got absolutely soaked. And today I'm having a problem with the sun being too bright. Lovely comb colour. And here's the label. So as I mentioned previously, or in the description, you'll see the mention of the word grosser being applied to anything big, and it certainly is big. So yeah, that's KR 6322. This next plant is KR 6441. Much finer foliage than the last one I looked at. So this is KR 6745. Kind of bluey grey colour to the newer combs. And the label somewhere. 6745. Quite impressive size. And walk backwards and get a better perspective. A little sunshine. So the next plant we're looking at is KR 4175. I think it's been through a couple of name changes, this one. Shown as leaves out the way, Fargesia nitida. I believe it might be now known as Fargesia similaris. Now when I saw this in summer, it was quite a more distinct blue colour to the combs. Fairly small leaves. So this is KR6443. Really hard to get a perspective of this. Oh, quite crowded round here. Not a lot of room. I don't know, if I walk backwards I'll end up falling over. There's no label on this plant and I'm fumbling now to open my garden, the planting plan. But it looks like from the plan I have, this is KR5980. Really impressive. It's big. On here. That is huge. So I couldn't find a label on this one either. It's either 5917 or 6317. This plant has a label on it that says KR5980. I couldn't find a reference to it in the planting plan that I've got. Is it back round? Quite fine foliage and more of a weeping habit. Yeah, more of a weeping habit compared to some of the more upright plants that are surrounding it. So this next plant is KR7615. I think the sun's going to do me a favour here, apart from my shadow, because it'll show the amazing comb colour. Try the other side. Better. Now I grow KR7613, and this is kind of consecutive to that number. It just looks to be a little bit different in with the comb sheath colour. 7613 is quite distinctive, certainly in my garden it is. And there is another 7615 I think behind it, and I need to show the label. Labelled as Borinda papyrifera, which I don't think is correct. Not sure though. I know papyrifera was used for 7613, referring back to the article Mike Bell wrote in 2012. He did mention that it shouldn't be called papyrifera for a couple of reasons. I'd really like to grow this one, I think. So this plant is labelled KR7613. I said previously I do grow this. This one does look a little bit different, so I'm not sure, because I know the comb sheath colour is quite distinctive, especially on the newer combs. This one looks, is it? On my 7613, it's kind of a stripy red thing going on. There's a little bit of redness there, but not to the degree of the plant in my garden. And there's another one further down the garden here. We'll take a look at that shortly. So this relatively small plant is KR 6900. 6900. Yeah, the labels match. Now, about 6900. This is potentially 6717. Not sure. There's a couple of plants in this area, one quite small plant over there, because in this area there's 6717 and 6270, but no labels. So with this next plant, I'm sort of able to get my bearings a little bit on the plant that I've got in my hand. This is KR 6317. This small plant is a KR plant, as you can see, 7592. Doesn't carry the name Borinda. Shimono bambus. Assume is a variation on Shimono bambusa. Not sure how relevant that label is. I couldn't find a reference on the planting plan for this plant, and it's shown as KR 5600, which is one of these plants that is available through a couple of nurseries. There is a bigger plant further down the garden, so I'll have a closer look at that one later on. There's a couple of random plants in this area. There's an aurea up there, Phallostachys aurea, and there's another Phallostachys here. And the only plant that has any reference to the plants they have here is this Yushania. Oh. And then what's next to it, I don't know. It's quite height-wise, it's quite small. Can't find any reference to it on the plans that I've got. This is KR 6715. I really like this area with the close planting and the stream running through the middle. All over. Yeah, that's what happens when you walk backwards trying to film. Yeah, the tree stump. So this is KR 6795. And a couple of plants in this area. I'll do these at the same time. KR 6890 there. And next to these plants, something completely different. This is the Thamnocalamus. Spathiflorus, KR 6937. I do like Phamnocalamus. I have Gossain growing in my garden. Got hit a few years back. It's slowly coming back. It looks quite stunning. Well worth growing. This is KR 6890. Next to it, I have to read the label because I forgot. 6270. Carrying the name Grocer. Big. Not the biggest, but it's big. So this is one we looked at earlier, KR7613. I think it might be right, that other one. I mentioned the colour on the culm sheaths seems to be certainly in my garden it's a deeper red. You see the newly emerging culms are absolutely stunning. I moved my plant last year, knocked it back a little, well this year knocked it back a little bit. What I'm referring to here is these like red striping almost. It's really nice on new culms. And good blue colour as well. As I mentioned previously, from Mike's article, he gives a couple of reasons why it shouldn't be referred to as Papyrifera. I think when I bought mine, it was being sold as Papyrifera, but that's since been changed on that particular nursery. This is another one of the same. Absolutely stunning culm colour. It's got a nice prominent spot in my garden. This, really looking forward to see what it does next year. I'm going to feed it very well. You know, that's a big difference as well between how us as gardeners grow these plants and how these are growing here. These are just this amazing thick mulch which generates itself. It's quite springy, the ground. You know, we're piling manure on these plants. They don't have that luxury, but they've settled in nicely and growing well. This next one, KR6775. I think at this point it's probably fair to say that a lot of these plants are very similar. A lot are considered to be Borinda McCloriana, even though they have other labels on, because they're all apparently collected within an area where the dominant species is McCloriana. And as a gardener, and a collector of bamboos, you could fall into the trap of trying to play Borinda bingo and collect them all, but you know, being realistic, there's probably only a dozen or so that have those qualities which, you know, make it worth the effort to plant and grow. You know, I do like collecting bamboos, but you know, the plant's got to have something that makes me want to grow it, and there are quite a few here that I've never seen available within those few nurseries that have these some of the KR plants that I would like to try in my garden at some point. This is a KR 5600. This does pop up a few times in the garden. There's a really big one behind me. Huge plant. And now this one caught my attention when I was there last week, just because it seemed very upright. Nice culm colour as well, and it is There's a label on it somewhere. KR7662. I'm going to try and move back a little bit and get a better video of it. See, for me that has qualities that I find desirable. The comb colour, and it's quite relatively thin, spaced out combs, nice blue colour, and very upright. I'm on the hunt for that one. The next plant we come to is another one referred to as grosser, KR6356. Now, the rest of this area, I'm really struggling to match the labels up. There's no label on that, or if it is, it's in there somewhere. Oh, no, that's a leaf. I do like this area, it's so densely planted, it's quite dark in here. There is this one, KR6271. Turn the label round. There's no label on that one either. I can't work out what it is from the plant. This is Borinda McCloriana, KR5786. That is an impressive lump. There's a label somewhere. And next to it, KR5051, also carrying the name McCloriana. Now something completely different. KR7966, Acidosa brillettii. Looks more like a Phyllostacis. Actually, I'd never heard of that name, and I don't know if it's on the right plant because it does look like a Phyllostacis. I might be wrong though. I am certainly no expert when it comes to bamboo ID. Now this plant is just simply stunning. KR5600, which has popped up a few times as we've walked through the garden, and this is where the sunshine is doing me a massive favour because the comb colour is absolutely amazing. Now I don't grow this yet, but I had an offer earlier this year to come and take some divisions from a garden in Macclesfield, and I've seen the pictures. I've actually seen the plant as well, and it is huge. There we go. Well, places like Whiteley have this for sale, and I think the plant that I'm going to be taking divisions from originally came from Whiteley, and they sell it as giant Borinda. Borinda grosser, giant Borinda. I have got an area of the garden I've been working on recently, a new planting area, and this is one of the plants that will be growing there. It's huge, it's so stunning. Large leaves as well, you know, compared to some of the other plants we've looked at today. It's just absolutely stunning. Makes my day every time I see this plant. So next to the KR 5600 is 5602. It's completely different. Quite fine foliage, thinner combs. It looks great next to the 5600. The contrast in the foliage is really nice. It's so gently planted around here, it's fantastic to walk through. Which brings me to another plant, 5756, the Chloriana. $5,600. There's another plant there, there's no label on it, and I've not yet looked at the plant to see if I can work out what it is. Now I think this one is KR 4145. It reminds me a little bit of Frigida, with the fine foliage and the, like a really nice blue colour to the culms, where you can see the culm sheath. I don't know if it's going to show up on the video. Yeah, we're right at the southern end of the Spinney now. I'll look at some of the plants on the other side of the stream. So I'm on the other side of the stream from where all the plants I've looked at previously are. Can't find any labels on these, and it's actually quite a difficult area to get through. It's quite overgrown. What's 6723, 6939, 6441, 6791, 5050, 4206. The list of numbers is endless, and I can't seem to match any of these with the plant. But we'll have a walk through anyway. See if I can do this without ending up in a ditch. Like I said earlier, the sun's doing me a real favour today, because it makes these culms look amazing. There should be a Phylostachys in here somewhere, which may have given me a reference point, but I can't find it. Go through here, might find it. Nope. That just looks amazing, the way the plants are growing either side of the stream. I spotted this last time I was here. This is KR 3968. One really big tall culm there. I looked at this earlier in the pine wood section, so this looks like a division that's been made from that plant. Because compared to a lot of others in this area, it's relatively small, and it is quite a strong grower. So my guess would be that is a relatively recent addition to this area. So I'm back at the top end of the Spinney again. I forgot which plant it is now. KR6322 on my left, and to the right there are a selection of other bamboos that I learnt only last night were leftovers from a Tatton Park show, I think done by Paul Cook several years ago, and these were planted in this area. A fargesia of some type there, and then in front of me is the instantly recognisable Borinda papyrifera CS 1046. An absolutely stunning plant, clearly enjoying life in this garden. The size of that is huge. Is a great plant to grow. Everyone wants to grow it. Often difficult to find. I struggle a bit in a harsh winter, as I found out myself last year. My main plant was fine. Just the culms from the previous year. That's just huge. The culms from the previous year, they got hit on one of my smaller plants. There's quite a lot of it here. I've done lots of divisions of this recently. I'll get a bit more of it going in the garden. That looks like a Yushania, not sure. And this one, really tight clump. What a clue what that is. I think it might be one of the Yunnan plants. I'm not sure. It's really tight clump though. And also in this area, if I can find it, there it is. Behind me it was, is the absolutely stunning Yunnan 4. Clearly enjoying coastal location that Ness Gardens has. Known not to be too hardy. I grew it years ago and I lost it in a harsh winter. But only recently on the Bamboo UK Facebook group, someone's commented they've been growing it quite successfully for years in Leeds. I have got one, it's in a huge pot. There's a big one at Desert to Jungle. Rob Goods has got a nice plant there. And I've never seen it, but there is one at Tregreen as well. Hopefully get a chance to take a look at that next year at the Rare Plant Fair. Sessa palmata. That reminds me, there's a Kimono bambusa at the bottom of the garden. I missed that out earlier. There's just a couple of other plants. So I'm going to get this side of the Yunnan 4 for a better perspective of it, because it is quite stunning. Yeah, stunning plant. It's absolutely huge. Just walking back now. Time for a coffee. Drive back to Manchester. Highly recommend a visit to Ness. go find a couple of Borindas that are up in the pine wood area, right over on the far side they are, as you relative to the entrance, and then head down to the Spinney. There is in the middle of the garden some Phyllostacis as well. Yeah, come down, make a day of it, have a drive over to West Kirby, get some fish and chips, have a walk around the marine lake, or go over to Hoy Lake. It's quite a nice area this. What a lovely day.